A blessed day, everyone. I join you today in this 18th day of campaign to end violence against women. I am Sister Maria from the congregation of the Siervas de San Jose. Our mission is in the evangelization and development of the poor working world, especially of women workers and young women at risk. Intrinsic in our mission is the building of a consciousness that does not tolerate violence against any person, especially women and children. But we continue to experience the pain of seeing many of them suffer abuse, even in their own homes. Human trafficking had been and continue to be one of the most illustrious global industry that objectify both women and children. Prostitution have escalated to higher level, using different social media platforms and even redefining or influencing how we see intimate relationships. These are only some of the many subtle attacks to the woman and her true dignity, with both men and women as perpetrators. Nonetheless, I believe we struggle because there is an evolving consciousness among us that counters what the world is saying. Nagkakaroon ngayon ng mas malawak na kamulatan sa usaping vowsy na nagpapakita lamang ng pagnanais ng bawat isa na maibalik ang karangalan ng tao, lalo't higit na mga kababaihan at kabataan. This reminds me of the deep yearning of Mary, expressed beautifully in the Magnificat. She says, "My soul proclaims your greatness, O my God, and my spirit has rejoiced in you, my Savior, for your regard has blessed me, poor and a serving woman." This is how Mary sees her value in the eyes of God. Though society sees her as a second-class citizen, she knew in her heart that God regards her special and blessed. And she goes on to say, "Your mercy is on those who fear you throughout all generations. You have shown strength with your arm." Clearly, Mary longs to be freed from such a view of society, and she roots her hope in the strength of God, whom she encounters in prayer and in life. I believe that she recognizes that only through God's grace, through God's strength, will salvation be fully realized. She said, "You have scattered the proud in their heart's fantasy. You have put down the mighty from their seat. You have lifted up the powerless. You have filled the hungry with good things. You have sent the rich away empty. You, remembering your mercy, have helped your people Israel, as you promised Abraham and Sarah, mercy to their children forever." Her solidarity with the poor and the oppressed were so real that it disturbed her and moved her into prayer and petition. Her great desire for liberation strengthened her faith in God, in the God who liberates His children. For the God of Mary is not an oppressive God, not a God who plays with power or dominates, but rather a God who loves and liberates. Even before Mary met Elizabeth in the visitation, she might have been singing these words in her heart when the angel appeared to her. Her fiat then is the fruit of her deep longing and God's plan for humanity becoming one. As she shares the deep longing of God, she too shares in God's suffering, and this made her a fertile womb for God to be born. This, I believe, is what we can learn from Mary and her Magnificat. When we see and feel the pain of the suffering of women and children, when we witness systematic oppression, deception, manipulation, and when we are overwhelmed by the injustices that happens, and when all this brings us to a deep yearning for transformation and freedom, then our hearts too become a fertile ground like that of Mary, where God will choose to be born once again. May we be as passionate as Mary in our yes to God, so much so that it will lead us to offer ourselves to the plan of God. But how did Mary do it, we may ask? Again, let's go back to her Magnificat. We hear her speak courageously of uplifting the lowly, restoring dignity to the powerless, feeding the hungry. In a way, she speaks of a new world order, inverting the social system and challenging the culture of domination that generates decades of violence and injustices. Mary knew in her heart that the coming of the Messiah would come with vindication for those who are victims of greed and irresponsible use of power, and would come as a day of reckoning for those who are guilty. As if reminding us that to stop violence against women and children, we need first to denounce all that allows it to continue, to announce what is true, and to collaborate in the building and healing process of people's dignity once again. The Magnificat was lived by Mary until she found herself beneath the cross. she continued living it by being with the apostles and disciples in their mission. Let us then ask Mary to teach us and to guide us to have that same fidelity wherever it may lead us, even beneath the cross, as we continue working and fighting for the eradication of violence against women and children now.